So give yourself a couple moments there to get settled. And then allow your eyes to move around whatever space you're in. So you're not really focusing on any one thing right now. You're just orienting yourself to the space. So you might slowly move your head as your eyes kind of take in the shapes and the colors and the space around you. And just notice if that helps you to feel any more settled. Sometimes that simple act of just taking your eyes around a space, letting your head move at the same time, it helps to settle you. But just notice what your experience is. And then perhaps allow your eyes to settle in one place. And maybe that's just softly on the floor in front of you, or if you're lying down towards the ceiling, or if it feels safe to do so, you could close your eyes. You never have to close your eyes during this session, during the class, so just you make those decisions. But just the act of softening the way we use our eyes, it tends to send a signal to our mind and body that our attention is now switching from an external focus to an internal focus. So as you soften your eyes, notice how you're feeling. As your attention moves from your outside world to your inside world, maybe just ask yourself that simple question: how am I today? Give yourself the time to really hear the answers that come up. And there's no wrong answer, so just notice what's there for you today. And then whatever you're noticing about how you're feeling, can you connect that to something inside of yourself that you're feeling? So for example, if you're feeling agitated, is there a sensation inside of your body that tells you that you're agitated? Is your stomach tight? Is your jaw clenched? Don't worry if there's not an easy answer that comes up, just ask the question. Notice where your shoulders are in relation to your ears. And if they at all feel like they have lifted, if you're sitting, they've lifted up towards your ears. If you're lying down, they've lifted away from the floor. Perhaps they can soften. And then take your attention and place it on your breath. You don't have to breathe in a special way. Notice if you are breathing through your nose or your mouth. So it's your natural breath. We're just paying attention to it. Notice if your breath is shallow, if it's quick, if it's deep, if it's slow. Notice if the breath moves smoothly, if it catches, if there's a rhythm to your breathing, or if the breath is different every time you inhale and exhale. And then, like you did with the way you were feeling, can you connect your breath to a sensation in your body? And that may be that you notice as you inhale that your belly expands, or that your ribs widen. Maybe it's the sound of your breath that you notice. And maybe it helps to place your hands on your body to be able to feel the movement of your own breath a few times. And then for the next several moments, we're going to look to create a balanced, steady breath. And we're simply going to do that by counting our own breath. So I want you to count your inhalation the next time you breathe in. And then match your exhalation to the same number. And continue to do that. Inhaling, count your breath as you breathe in. Exhale, match to the same count. So you're creating this balanced breath. Inhale and exhale are matching each other. And it shouldn't feel like a strain. It shouldn't feel like a struggle. And perhaps the next time you breathe in, you increase that number by 1. So if you were breathing into 3, see what it feels like to breathe into the count of 4 and then breathe out to the count of 4. You can always go back to the previous number. And we'll just do this for 3 more cycles of breath. One last breath here. Good. If you are lying down, I'll just invite you to sit up if you feel ready to sit up. We're going to take our hands and rub our palms together, creating some warmth, creating some heat on our hands. And when your hands feel nice and warm, I'm going to suggest placing them over your eyes. If that's not okay to cover your eyes, place them anywhere else on your body where you feel like you can use some warmth. If it feels okay to cover your eyes, gently close the eyes over and just softly cup the eyes with your hands. Allow the weight of your head to almost release there into your hands. If it feels better to place the hands somewhere else, like your neck or your shoulders or your belly, feel free. And just pause here for a moment. Know that there's nothing left for you to do. You've made it here to your yoga mat, and sometimes that's the hardest part. So perhaps as you pause here, just making a commitment to honor your body, to honor your breath during this session. As much as you can, letting go of distractions. Know that this is a gentle, supportive space for you, your body, and your breath. Any choices you make here will be supported, celebrated. We'll let the hands release down from there. Just let your arms rest or your hands rest anywhere that's comfortable. And we'll look to find a sense of grounding now. If you haven't already, you might like to wiggle a little bit on your seat until you can feel your body really grounding, the sit bones sort of nestling down into the earth. And from that sense of being grounded or supported, you might be able to lift a little bit taller in your spine. And that might look like your chest gently lifting towards your chin, or that might look like the top of your head lifting towards the ceiling. Just notice how that feels to sit up a little taller. And perhaps from there, your chin can drop down towards your chest so that you can notice sensation in the back of your neck. And just notice, is there much sensation there? Is it strong? Is it painful? If there's ever pain in anything that we do here, come out of that shape. If it's uncomfortable, you're always checking in with yourself, assessing whether that kind of discomfort is okay for you today. We're going to gently lift the chin from there and take it up towards the ceiling, but only as high as feels okay in your neck. And noticing the sensation in the front of your neck now. What is that like? Does it make you feel uncomfortable to lift up like that? And is discomfort okay? Or do you need to make a choice to put the chin back down? Take one more breath here. Good, and we're going to bring the chin more towards center and just allow the left ear to drop over towards the left shoulder. Bringing your focus into the side of your neck now. Noticing what's present there in that right side of your neck. And again, if it's ever too strong, you can take your head back up. If you want to add some sensation, you could extend the right arm slightly away from you, just off the floor. Noticing any sensation in the neck, the shoulder, maybe even the arm. Good. We'll drop the arm down if it's lifted, bring the head back up and drop it over the other way. And just noticing what you feel here, just making an intention here to pay attention to what's happening in your body. Noticing those moments when our attention gets drawn outside of our body, which happens all the time, completely normal. And then taking it back down into the body. Notice what you feel. Where is the stretch in your neck? What does it feel like? Does it feel like a lengthening? Does it feel like a ball of tension? Do you need to add the extension of your arm in order to feel anything there? So this practice is really all about learning how to tolerate feelings and sensations, increasing our capacity for interoception, which is this ability to notice what's going on inside of ourselves. We'll let that arm release and take the head back up to center. Just allow your shoulders some free movement here, tuning into the range of motion in each shoulder, whether that shoulders move with ease or whether there are some sticky points. Good. Then we're going to take the left arm and cross it in front of our chest, holding on to the elbow or the upper arm with your hand or your other elbow crease. Take a few steady breaths here. So we're looking to use that steady breathing throughout the practice, and it's just another way to keep us embodied, keep us down in our bodies, noticing how the shapes, the poses are affecting us, by noticing how they affect the way we're breathing. As you release your arm, take it across back to the other side and place your left hand on the floor, spreading the fingers wide. You're going to bend that elbow and begin to lean in that direction, maybe a little, and maybe your right arm stays down, or maybe a little bit more, and maybe your right arm lifts up and over your head. As you do that, notice how it feels in your side body to create a little bit of space there. Always checking in, noticing how your body's responding, noticing how the changes in the pose affect the way you're breathing. Those poses where you're able to maintain a steady breath and those where the breath becomes a little bit more elusive. We're going to come up from there and take the right hand now slightly behind you on the ground, behind your hip, crossing the left arm over. So you might be holding your knee, or you might be holding onto your thigh as you now twist. So as you begin, inhale and see if you can bring your spine nice and tall. And then as you exhale, you're creating some space there in your torso to be able to twist. So we use the breath to help us in these shapes. Inhaling to lengthen up through the top of your head while you stay grounded through your seat, and exhale to twist. And just notice how the twist feels. Where in the body is actually twisting? Where are the parts that are mobile and those parts that are a little bit less mobile? Good. As you untwist, bring it back to center. And if you're cross-legged, as I am, you might just change the crossing of your legs. Good. We'll take the right arm across now, stretching into the upper arm, shoulder, and maybe even into the side body a little bit. Just a couple of steady breaths here. Noticing how that stretch feels. Is it similar to the first side? Does it feel different? And as you take the arm back across, ground your hand by spreading wide through the fingers, placing all of your knuckles firmly down into the ground and bending your elbow a little or a little bit more, finding your variation of this side stretch. Notice what it's like to ground down through your left hip, your left seat, and possibly the difference between that and allowing your seat to ride up, and what feels better for you today. Let's have one more full breath here. Good, and we're going to lift up from there, coming into that twist so that your left hand comes slightly behind you, helps you to lift your spine tall by gently pushing the fingertips into the ground. The right arm comes across to guide you into your twist. So we're not muscling or pushing our bodies, but rather allowing the body to find the twist on its own terms. One more full breath here in your twist. Good, and we'll untwist, taking it back to center. We'll bring the fingertips both to the floor behind you. So just slightly behind your hips, and using the fingers, the seat, and whatever other parts of your body are on the floor to ground, to really feel the earth push down into it, and at the same time create a lift. So as we ground, we're also able to lift. So grounding down and then lifting possibly the chest, the top of the head. And that might feel like enough, or you might like to take your shoulders backwards in space, broadening across your chest, and or lifting the chin, noticing how it feels to broaden, to open up your front body. Does that make you uncomfortable? It is quite a vulnerable position. How does it feel for you? And if it's not okay, please know you can take the shoulders forward again. You can close that back off, but we will not be here long, just one more breath. And as you release that, we're going to cross the arms in front of you. If you're cross-legged like I am, you might hold on to your knees with your hands. You might hold on to your thighs, your side body, your shoulders. Crossing the arms and touching your body somewhere with your hands. Have a breath in. And as you breathe out, coming into a forward bend from here. So that can look like many different things. That might look like sitting upright with your chin dropping down. That might look like your whole torso folding down, the upper back rounding. Maybe your head drops, the weight of your head falls towards the ground. Noticing how the shape makes you feel. Some of the poses can help to uplift our mood and make us feel better, but also sometimes they can bring up stuff from the past, which might make us feel angry, sad, irritated, frustrated. That's not a bad thing. It's one way that our minds work to rid themselves of stuff that we don't need anymore. It can still be beneficial to do the poses. You can maybe use it as an opportunity to let go of stuff, but you need to make that choice. If something is uncomfortable and you don't want to feel that emotion, know that you can always come out of the shape. We're going to roll up from there, coming back upright. If you were cross-legged, one more time, we change the crossing of the legs. Hands come behind the back again, push down and lift. So your spine becomes tall first, and then adding as much opening as is appropriate in your body. So the shoulders might draw back, the elbows might move towards each other, the chin might possibly lift up. We're taking 2 full breaths here. You decide how much you want to open your front body. Noticing what it feels to breathe into the throat, the chest, the shoulders at the front. And then we cross the arms, bringing the opposite arm on top. Same thing you just did. You might be holding your side body, your thighs, your knees as you fold yourself down. Noticing where you're feeling this in your body. What are the sensations that you feel? You can get really specific. Are they stretching? Are they feelings of being stuck somewhere? Are there colors? Sometimes certain sensations bring up an image of a color. So building your vocabulary of what you're feeling as another way to stay in your body and in charge of your body. And then we'll roll up from there, uncross the arms. And we're going to shift now off of our seat to come onto our hands and our knees. So we come into what we call a tabletop position, lining up your knees more or less underneath your hips, your wrists more or less underneath your shoulders. I'll just move my microphone a bit closer in case you cannot hear me. Good. If you do have some issues with your wrists being uncomfortable, know that you can be on your elbows here as an option. So this is a really popular yoga sequence called cat and cow. If you're familiar with it, just feel free to move your body at your own pace. And I'll just talk you through the first couple of rounds here. It's very simple movement of your spine. As you inhale, you're just gently lifting through your tailbone, allowing your belly to drop towards the floor, and then rolling that up your spine so then your chest lifts as well. And as you exhale, you're kind of hugging the tailbone under and rolling that up your spine so that your back rounds. Maybe your head drops and you're looking towards your knees. And you're doing that to the rhythm or the pace of your breath. So as you inhale, you're finding this back bend, which we call cow pose. And as you exhale, you're rounding the spine and finding cat pose. We'll take that 3 more times at your own pace, just noticing how that's feeling, how the spine's moving. Kind of like you did when you're twisting, the parts of the spine that feel mobile and those that feel a little bit less so. Noticing the support of the ground. Perhaps the way your breath affects the way you're moving or vice versa. And then we'll come back to a more neutral position for the spine, so neither a back bend nor rounding. And as you push down into whatever's on the floor, see if you can draw up just gently at your navel, at your center, to support your low back. We're going to extend the right leg behind us with our toes tucked under on the floor. And just gently push into your hands and back out through your right heel. And notice the muscles in the back of your legs stretching here. And as you release that stretch, you might like to lift your right foot away from the floor and notice the muscles that engage to make that happen. The muscles in your leg, but also the muscles in your belly and your arms and shoulders supporting you here. And you could stay here, or you could extend your opposite arm out in front of you, experimenting with your balance. Noticing if the muscles at your center are supporting you. We'll have 1 more full cycle of breath in and out. We'll take the hand and knee down, shaking out any discomfort from the wrists. Extending the left leg behind you. Finding some support from the muscles of your center. Pushing back gently through that heel, feeling the stretch from your heel travel up your left leg. Releasing that little bit of push into the hands. Your shoulders come over your wrists. Maybe the left foot comes off the floor. Just noticing what muscles engage to make that happen. How your breath is. Can the breath remain steady? Maybe the right arm stays as it is, or maybe it extends out in front of you. We have 2 more breaths here. 1 more breath here. And we'll release the hand and the knee down. Let's take the knees almost as wide if you're on a yoga mat as your yoga mat. If you're not, just a little bit wider than your hips. Your toes come towards each other and we're sitting the hips back towards the heels. This is called child's pose. Great place to rest at any time if it is a comfortable position for you. So if your head doesn't touch the ground as you come down here, you might find something to lift the ground to your head. So that could be your stacked hands, that could be a pillow. If you have yoga blocks or something like that, you could put that there for your head to rest on. If it feels okay for your forehead to rest, allow it to rest. That act of allowing the head to rest, especially the forehead, sends some clear signals to our mind and body that in this moment, all is well. I can be here in this position, safe, supported, noticing sensations in my body, managing those sensations as they come up. Last breath here in child's pose. Good, and then we're going to come up from there, lifting back up into our tabletop position. And from your tabletop now, let's tuck the toes under behind you. And we're going to shift the hips back, just like you did for child's pose. So your hips begin to move towards your heels. Have a look down at your hands and spread your fingers nice and wide. Grounding each and every knuckle. Let your gaze now turn back towards your knees. And as you continue to push into your spread fingers, lift your knees up and away from the floor. Let the weight of your head drop down towards the ground so that your neck can be free. You might even shake your head out if that feels okay. So this upside down V is called downward facing dog. If it's uncomfortable for you to be in this position, know that you can always come back down onto your knees. From here, we're going to bend deeply through the right knee and push into the left heel, just like you did when you were in your tabletop position. And then we'll do the opposite. Bend the left knee, push down into your right heel. Just to notice sensation in the backs of your legs. Noticing the strength in your arms, keeping you in this position. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll drop the knees back down onto the floor. Sliding the hands back to your knees so that you can lift up onto your knees. And then we're going to take the right foot and step it forward. So your right knee is more or less over your right ankle. Your left hip right now is more or less over top of your left knee. So this is a low lunge, and this is one way to do it. Another way to do this shape is to let your hips drop forward a little bit and bend into that front knee. Your hands can be on your knee if you'd like, or if the floor doesn't feel too far away, your hands could be on the floor. From there, you look at lifting your chest a little bit and just noticing how this feels in the hips, in the spine. And we'll take it up from there and bring that knee back down. Stepping your left foot forward, setting up on this side. So your knee is more or less over your ankle, hip over your knee here initially. Arms could be at your side, at your waist. You might start to lunge forward and just see how that feels in your body. Maybe hands come to your knee, or maybe hands come to the floor. Take another breath here and see if you can lift your chest a little bit and how that feels. Good, and we're going to take it back out of there. Bring your hands back down to the floor. Tuck your toes back under behind you, and we'll come back into that downward dog shape. This time, just one breath here. Breathing in fully, breathing out fully. And we'll tiptoe the feet forward to the hands and slide the hands up onto the legs. So you could have your hands by your ankles, your shins, your knees, your thighs, wherever is comfortable in your low back and your hamstrings. We're pushing the hands against the legs, reaching the head so the crown of the head reaches away from you, and flattening out your back. Have a full breath in, and as you breathe out, finding a variation here on a standing forward bend. You might feel great where you are, and that's where you want to stay. You might drop the weight of your head and stay there. You might slide elbows to legs or dangle your upper body. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Looking for a shape where you can be for 3 breaths without being in pain. Noticing the sensations that come up. And if you are uncomfortable, knowing that in 2 more breaths we will not be in this shape, but always checking in and letting your body decide whether you stay there or make a choice to come out of that shape. And on your next inhalation, we're going to roll up to stand. Notice how that feels in the backs of your legs and in your spine as your vertebrae start to stack and lift you upright. Let your shoulders release once you do come up. Let your neck, your head move around to ensure your neck isn't clenched tight. Then have a look down at your feet. Separate them a little bit. You might lift and spread your toes out. We call this mountain pose. It's simply standing upright on steady feet. So feel your feet and feel them push down into the ground and see if you can push down with equal force from right to left, from left to right. And at the same time, get real strong in your legs and lifted in your spine. And notice how you feel. Do you feel steady? And if you don't, can you steady your breath as a way to bring steadiness into your body? So some of those shapes that we've just done, that cat and cow, that downward dog, and that lunge, we're going to use those now as we go through a couple rounds of a sun salutation. Just before we do that, we're going to lift the arms up overhead, reaching up through both arms as you stay grounded through your feet. Take your focus into your rib cage or your torso. See what you feel there as your breath comes in and out. Almost as if you could bring your attention like you are right inside of there, feeling that expansion on the inhale and how the ribs come back in towards each other on the exhale. Noticing the movement of your body in relation to your breath. Then we'll join the palms and bring the hands together. And we're bringing the thumbs to rest on our sternum. If you're on a yoga mat and you're not at the top of your mat, just take a walk up to the top of your mat. And otherwise, you just need some space behind you to step into. So whatever space you're in, just ensure you've got a little bit of space there behind you. And we're just going to do 2 rounds of this sun salutation. Taking each breath fully. So each movement corresponds to a breath. We'll do it nice and slowly. Inhale here, bring the breath up into your thumbs, lifting your chest up towards your thumbs. Exhale, let your arms drop down. On your next inhale, your arms circle around. And as you exhale, join your palms and begin to fold yourself down. Hands touch your legs just like we did before. Anywhere along your legs, lengthen your spine. Bend your knees so that you can get your hands to touch the floor and step or slide your right knee back behind you. So here we are in that lunge. Your hands might be on the floor. If the floor feels a bit far away, your hands might be on your knee. If that's not working in your hips, your hands might be on your waist and you're a little bit more upright. It doesn't matter. Find the variation that suits you and have another breath there. Getting the hands down to the floor, slide the front foot back so you're on all fours. Inhale, taking your cow pose. Exhale, rounding your back into cat pose. Tuck your toes under. Bring your knees up off the floor. If that's not appropriate, stay there on all fours. Just one full breath here. Feel the breath come in. Notice it as it goes out. You're going to be bringing your right foot forward now and your left knee to the floor. So you can do that from here, stepping forward, dropping the knee, or you can drop the knees first, slide the hands back, and then step forward. So always looking for the variation that suits your body. It will be different from everyone else. Staying high, coming a little bit lower, or bringing fingertips to floor. We'll take one more full breath here. To complete the sun salutation, we step the back foot forward, or we slide it. We take our time, bringing that foot to the front. Inhale, we lift halfway. Notice how it feels as you exhale and find your forward bend. Ground your feet and soften your knees, lifting back up to stand. If it feels okay, your arms can lift up as well. Joining the palms and bringing the hands in front of your chest, thumbs touching at your sternum. One more time. Inhale, lift the breath into your thumbs. Exhale, drop the hands down. Circle the arms around. Inhale. Joining the palms and follow your hands forward. Exhale. Hands along your legs as you inhale. Feel that length. Bend the knees, hands to the floor. Your left knee comes to the ground behind you. Find your variation on this low lunge. Feel the parts of your body on the ground. Exhale, hands come down. Front foot steps back. Inhale, tailbone lifts, chest lifts. Exhale, round the back like a cat. Tucking the toes under, take the knees up off the floor. One full breath in downward facing dog. You could drop the knees and then step your left foot forward, or from downward dog, step that foot forward, bring your right knee to the floor. Low lunge, find your variation. Take a full breath in and out. Dropping the hands back down to the floor, making your way forward. Back foot comes up to the front, lifting up halfway. Inhale. Forward bend, exhale. Grounded through your feet so that you can rise strongly back up to stand. Inhale. Joining the palms, bringing your thumbs to touch your chest. Taking another breath there. Inhale into your thumbs. Exhale, release the arms down. Good. Keeping your left hand there along your leg or at your waist, reaching the right arm up. As we did from sitting, we're taking a side stretch, noticing how it feels from this position to stretch and open into your side body. One more breath there. Lifting up and allowing the right arm to drop. Take the left arm up or over your head. Finding your variation here. How can the breath help you here? Breathing into those places that feel particularly tight or closed off. Inhale, take it back up, let that arm drop down. We're going to come into a balancing pose here from our feet. If you know that you might feel a little bit wobbly and you would feel better to have some support, you could take a hand to the wall or to a chair. Let's stand on our left foot first. So you're really strongly grounded through that foot and really strong in that leg. And we're going to open the right hip so that the knee points out. Maybe your foot is placed there at your ankle. Or maybe your foot slides to your shin or to your thigh. Doesn't matter where it ends up. It might help you to use your eyes and fix them on a spot in front of you that's still. And notice if that helps you to feel more balanced or not. And you could place your hands anywhere that feels appropriate, at your waist, in front of your chest, above your head. You might use your arms here to help you balance. Notice the standing foot. Keep pushing down into it, grounding strongly. Find the top of your head and see if you can lift from there. Or take the breath up into your chest and see if that helps to keep you tall and lifted. Just experiment. It doesn't matter if you balance on one foot. It's not really about finding a one-legged position, more about how you respond to the challenge of that. Have one more breath. Let the arms drop if they've lifted. Let the foot drop. Shake out both legs. Maybe give the arms a shake. Let go of whatever experience you just had. So you can have a new experience on the second side. Ground your right foot. Feel the whole foot ground down. Feel that leg get nice and strong. Really engage the muscles of your leg. Lift tall through the top of your head and open your knee to the side. And that might be a perfect place to stay. Toes on the floor, foot resting against your ankle. Notice your breath. We tend to hold our breath when we're challenged. Notice how your breath can help you. Keep the breath moving. Using your gaze to help you if that's useful. Your foot might stay down or slide up the leg. Without judgment, just with curiosity, notice how the shape affects you. How the breath can be used to maintain or bring about steadiness in your body, in your mind. Let's have one more breath here. Good, then we'll release the lifted leg, release the arms. Give the legs a shake, maybe give the arms a shake, give the head a shake. Letting go of all of that. And we'll do one more thing from standing and then we're going to come back down onto the ground. So we're going to take the left foot and step it back behind you, not too far. If you're on a yoga mat, maybe about halfway back. The fronts of your hips and shoulders are going to face forward, so towards your right foot, which is facing forward. And we're going to lift the arms up and overhead. So there are a few different ways to do this one. It's really more about a release on the exhale than it is about what actual shape you come into. So the first variation would be to inhale here. And as you exhale, open your mouth and make a little bit of sound and let the arms drop down. So it's a ah. And the arms kind of float back up on the inhale and drop on the exhale. And that might be where you stay, or you might add more of your upper body. Now, if your upper body starts to come forward, you're probably going to want to bend that front knee. So it's more of an inhale here and a allowing the arm to just swing down and up. If it's not comfortable or okay for you to make noise, you don't have to do a noisy breath. But if it feels okay to vocalize, just notice how that makes you feel. 2 more times. Once more. We'll finish with the arms lifted. And as you step your back foot forward, see about taking that knee up towards your chest just for a moment. And then grounding the foot. Reach up through both arms. Inhale. Exhale, let the arms float back down to your sides. Do the same thing on the other side, other foot. Stepping back with your right foot. Facing forward with your hips and shoulders. Reaching up through your arms as you inhale. Staying buoyant in that front knee so that even if you're not letting the upper body come forward, that knee's not locked. You're not going to injure that knee. So there's the inhale and the, and maybe you build, maybe slowly your body starts to come forward, or maybe that doesn't feel okay in your low back and you'd rather just move the arms today. Two more of those. One more time. Arms are lifted, back foot slides up, lifting the knee towards the chest. Pause for a moment. Ground that foot. Continue to reach up through both arms. Exhale, let the arms float down. Stepping your feet just slightly wider than your hips and turning your toes out. So we're going to come down into a squat. We're going to take 3 breaths in our squat and then we're going to come down onto the floor. So if you like squatting, you might end up way down here. If you don't like squatting, if your knees and hips aren't happy about that, you might stay up here. It doesn't matter. Finding the variation on a squat that works for you. Know that there's 100 different ways to do this. So find the one that suits you. And when you arrive there, have about 3 breaths. Noticing where you feel this in your body. If there's pain, you're leaving the shape. If you're uncomfortable, can I be here for one more full breath? Supporting yourself down to the floor. Coming to sit, bring the legs out in front of you, and we're going to roll down and come onto our backs to finish off the practice. At the very end, we take about a minute lying on our backs. If you want a blanket or an extra sweater, just grab it so you don't have to get up again. We're going to come down onto the back here and allow the knees to come up towards the chest. If it's comfortable to hold your legs, you can hold your legs. If it's not, if that hurts your shoulders or your neck, just leave your arms on the ground. Just begin to rock your knees here, side to side. Notice how that feels. For some people, rocking is quite a settling sensation. But for others, maybe not so much. So you notice what it's like for you. Or is there a difference between rocking side to side and kind of rocking forward and back? And does one resonate more for you? Then we're going to rock the knees right to the center and release them so the arms stretch out from shoulder height. Have a big full breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to drop the knees to the left, either from this lifted position or by grounding the feet first. Both knees drop to the left to come into a twist. If your knees do not come to the floor, that's fine. They can either hover there for a moment, or if you have a pillow or a prop you could put under them for them to ground into. Let your head be free to move so you're not stuck. Your neck doesn't feel stuck. Maybe you're turning to the right with your head, but only if that feels okay in your neck. Good. On your next inhale, bringing the knees back to center, looking back up towards the ceiling with your gaze. On your next exhale, twisting the other way, either from a lifted position or grounding the feet first. Knees drop to the right. Notice how that feels. Maybe you feel some sensation in the top hip, the low back, up the spine. If it's too much across the upper body, the shoulders or the chest, you can always bring the arms in onto your own body. As you extend the arms, you're adding sensation in the shoulders. Good. And we're going to untwist, bringing the knees back up, rolling back to your back, taking the arms back up onto your legs, squeezing the legs in towards the chest, big full breath in. Exhale, lifting your feet up towards the ceiling, but letting the arms rest on the ground. If it feels more comfortable to support your legs with your arms, certainly you can do that. Knees might be bent, knees might be straight. Tune into your neck. Make sure the back of your neck feels soft. It's not tight or engaged. We have 3 more breaths here. This is called waterfall pose. Gentle inversion for the low body. 2 more breaths here. Noticing sensation in the feet, the ankles, the legs. Last breath. Good. Then allow your legs to release down. We're coming into our final resting position now, and that may be with your feet on the floor, knees bent. That might be with your legs straight out, flat on your back. Or you might prefer to roll over to your side and take your rest there. Just ensuring that whatever position you put your body in You're as comfortable as you can be right now. So that for the next minute, you can really just be there observing any sensations in your body. Observing any energy, any tingling, any feelings of spaciousness. Without the need to do anything else for the next 30 seconds or so, simply observe the effects of this practice in your body. And just gently from there, begin to wiggle the fingers, the toes. Maybe your arms stretch back behind you and your knees bend. Perhaps you can roll to one side. And then support yourself back up to a seat. But if you'd rather stay on your back to finish, feel free. If you'd like to come up to a seat, come on up. So from wherever you are, we're going to finish with a very short loving kindness meditation. And we're going to focus our loving kindness towards ourselves. So if you can, from where you are, placing one hand on your chest and maybe the other hand on top. If that's not accessible from lying down, don't worry about it, but bring your attention to your heart or the space around your heart and your chest. If your hands are on your chest, take the breath up into your hands, breathing into your heart, that area. And then in your own mind, you might like to repeat these phrases after me, if that feels okay, if it resonates for you. Otherwise, just listening. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong. May I be free of mental suffering. May I live a good life. Taking one last full breath in. Let that breath go. You might let your arms drop down. If you're ready to be finished, allowing your eyes to open and look around your space in order to reorient yourself to where you are. Noticing the sights, sounds, the temperature. Noticing how you are at the finish. Same thing you did at the start, just noticing, how am I? Without judgment or expectation. And then I'll say thank you. Thanks so much for joining